And more specifically, we're taking a look at the body charged with the responsibility of regulating competition in Kenya. And I'm now joined in studio by the Director General of the Competition Authority of Kenya, Wangombe Kariuki. Thank you so much for joining us. Just first things first, just a brief but general introduction to the mandate of the Competitions Authority.
Thank you, Teria. The Competition Authority is a state corporation created under Section 7 of the Competition Act number 12 of 2010, and its mandate is to promote and safeguard competition in the economy and also control restrictive trade practices and also protect consumers against unfair practices.
So is CAK involved in price regulation at all?
No, not at all. In fact, we are supposed to enhance competition through price competition, through prices. And we believe that in any contestable market, there should be no price regulations. And therefore, we envisage or we advocate for free allocation of prices through forces of supply and demand. Yeah.
So how do you work with the various regulators within the sectors?
Yeah, Section 5 of the Competition Act is very clear in regard to that the Competition Authority of Kenya has the primary jurisdiction in regard to competition matters and also consumer protection matters. But obviously is that the law is aware that the sector regulators, they have their own capacity in terms of understanding the technicalities and the issues regarding quality and licensing in the specific sectors. And what we do is that when we are regulating competition, and we regulate this through approval of mergers and takeovers, through control of abuse of dominance, is that we can get data and also from the sector regulators. But also we do this through some kind of interaction frameworks we have developed with them to protect the sharing of confidential information. And therefore it's more of a symbiotic relationship between what we do.
I'm just curious, why would a regular Kenyan care what the CAK is up to? Because in all terms and purposes, and maybe because it's still a relatively new organization, a relatively new department in government, why should a Kenyan care? What can you tell Kenyans? Why should they pay attention?
Just assume a situation where in this industry you are in, where there are so many media houses these days. If at all there is no Competition Authority of Kenya and then you decide to merge all of you and form one company, what kind of advertising rates would you be getting in the market? What kind of quality will you be getting in the market? Or will you be having this kind of employment we are having, the youth being employed? So what we do is that we ensure that even if there are mergers in the economy, is that obviously that they don't form private monopolies. Number two is that assume CAK is not there. And then we assume that you exist, but you decide to fix the prices that you are charging people. Obviously is that we will not see competition through pricing. Then the other issue is that all you decide, let's say for example in the beverages sector, people decide that you are going to supply in these certain counties and me I'll supply in these certain counties. Obviously you have monopolies and you know what monopolies do.
So what constitutes a monopoly?
Monopoly is from a layman's point of view is that it's a market being served by only one person or rather one player. But what we look at ourselves is what we call dominance. And dominance is not an illegality per se. And dominance, it's under the law, it's when you have 50% plus one of the market share. But what you do after you attain that dominance, it's what we are concerned. And the kind of abuse of dominances we look at, it's like when you foreclose a market, that you have a certain input and then you decide that you're not going to supply to your competitors. Number two is that you can decide to increase the cost of your competitors. But if at all you have that what I may call an essential facility, and then you decide to increase the price you sell to them, obviously it means that their costs will be high. Then the other issue is that in regard to what we call predatory practices, is that you hear someone wants to enter in the market, and then you price your goods below cost, so that at least in that short run is that that person cannot be able to compete with you, and therefore obviously you will not break even. Yeah.
So I understand the competition authorities just embarking on a survey on the banking industry. Perhaps you can tell us what that will be about?
Yeah, Terian, there has been a lot of discourse in regard to the level of interest rates in this country. And when I follow the discourse, or even when the authority follows the discourse, there's no one with a dashboard to say that these are the causes of these interest rates in this country. And what we, as the authority, we thought it's good to interrogate the market and at least come up with the reasoning, or rather the variables which are causing the rates of interest rates we are having in this country. And because some of the people are saying, one, the banks are colluding. Then from the other end, others are saying it's the government which is borrowing a lot from the market. Then from other quarters, there are a lot of information asymmetries, that even the consumers themselves, they don't understand the bank A and bank B and bank C, which is offering lesser interest rates. So as the Competition Authority is that we want to critically look at the sector. And first, we want to look at the specific markets, because there are different markets in the banking sector. We have the corporate and also the retail, and highlight which may be having very egregious kind of infractions. And then from there is that when we look at, when we highlight and ring fence the variables, is that we can decide this is supposed to be handled by the central bank, this is supposed to be handled through a regulatory reform, maybe by the Treasury, and there's an issue of enforcement which lies squarely on the mandate of the Competition Authority. So that is what we are intending to do.
Of course, interest rates is a matter that's very close to the hearts of Kenyans, and we will, of course, call you back to tell us what you find out in that particular survey. For now,